Get in here. It is the end of the week. We got some big stories to talk about. There's this new Rachel McAdams movie, Send Help.
Everyone who makes fun of me for watching 50 seasons of Survivor, this film is the reason why you do it, because then you get on a desert island and you're okay.
There's a big Kanye West apology and the question of what to do with that. And the Juno nominations just came out. A lot to cover. The group chat's in. Radheyan Simonpillai is here. Emilie Hanskamp is here. Ashley Ray's here. Hello, all of you.
Hello.
How you guys doing? What a delightful sight. You know, you guys are a sight for sore eyes. Listen, I think if you guys don't mind making the vibe a little bit darker in here, I think the best place to start is right here.
How long?
You been out? Day and a half?
Have you tried making a distress signal?
Or a bigger fire?
I was busy trying to keep us alive.
But getting us out of here, that should be your focus, not being Susie Homemaker over here.
What did you just say to me?
Let's not forget, I'm your boss. You work for me.
We're not in the office anymore, Bradley.
Okay, so that's a bit of the trailer for Send Help. It's Rachel McAdams. She plays a woman who's stranded on a desert island with her horrible boss, which that sounds like a nightmare already. Her boss is played by Dylan O'Brien, and then the two of them survive a plane crash. And then pretty clearly, you know, in the trailer, you kind of go, oh, she's much more equipped for this survival than he is. Rad, I saw the trailer, and I didn't get wildly excited about this movie, but you saw the trailer, and then you were like, you know what? Sam Raimi directing, Rachel McAdams in the movie. This actually can't really go wrong. Why did that combination, you know, get you excited?
I mean, that statement could have just been about Rachel McAdams. Like, Rachel McAdams can do no wrong. I mean, she's one of the greatest actresses of our generation. And, you know, she could do everything from, you know, really serious drama to slapstick comedy. I mean, who could forget her in Game Night? Like, oh, he died.
Oh, no, he died.
You know, like that, you know?
Thank you for reenacting it.
You know? And, like, I mean,
perfect.
Yeah. But she's like, you know, and to that extent, like, she could take, like, the silliest material, elevate it. I mean, Sam Raimi tells us, there's this interview he tells us a great story of, because we worked together previously on Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And there's a scene where she's being tossed around by a ghost, and like the ghost then lands on her and stuff. And her reaction, according to him, was like, instead of being like, this is ridiculous, like the CGI ghost that I'm acting with, she's like, how heavy is the ghost? So
Rachel McAdams, a professional, if you will. That's what I'm hearing here.
So, like, you know, just it's her. And then, of course, Sam Raimi, no slouch. We're talking about the guy who made Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And he, you know, you're just watching creative kismet. Like, he gets the most out of her performance. He knows how to frame her. He knows how to make her feel fabulous while throwing buckets of blood at her. And the two of them, they just take this so far.
Can I just say, you say Raimi and I say Raimi. And
it's Raimi, yeah.
Okay, I'm having an existential crisis. Like, one of us, I don't know which one is right.
I am out to butcher everyone's name as revenge.
Perfect. Let's see how the rest of this conversation goes. Actually, I think like this motif of like plane crash survivor scenario, we've seen it a bunch before, right? Like we've seen Lost, we've seen Castaway, we've seen Lord of the Flies, Yellow Jackets. What makes this movie an interesting addition to this particular canon?
I think what we have here is something where Rachel McAdams, again, amazing, is doing something so different from what she usually does with rom-coms that it just makes it funnier. Every other show you named, they're terrifying. Yellow Jackets scares me. But when I saw this trailer, I was like, okay, this is going to be hilarious. And I love Rachel being the person who sort of takes the lead and is clearly sort of pushing back against these misogynistic office dynamics. So I was excited the second I saw the trailer too.
So like you hear in the trailer, Emilie, like so they're playing a little bit with misogyny. They're playing a little bit with the power dynamics between a boss and an employee. But then I can't figure out if this is a movie that is trying to aspire to be commentary or a movie that is trying to say, these dynamics are in the room with us, but really we're here to have a good time as a thriller. Which one is it trying to do?
Can it be both? Because I think
no. Okay.
now the question of like how far do you have to take a woman for her to like break through the cage of misogyny? Yeah. How far do you have to take a man to come to terms with his mediocrity? You know, and the answer is not actually a desert island, which is it is interesting to see the nuances of that question being asked. And one thing that I loved in this film is, you know, she breaks the wall a few times. And what I took that as like a woman watching this is like, this is in many ways, among other things, a story about women's rage. And as she escalates and she keeps doing things that are, you know, more deviating from what we might call sanity, you know, the line of sanity, the question becomes like, how much can we rationalize a woman's rage? And I think as an audience member, you're kind of negotiating that yourself. And I'll say, like, I don't want to spoil anything, but there is one scene involving his manhood where she says something like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. That's something I think a lot of women can relate to. And the women in the movie theater erupted in applause. So I think this is about negotiating that idea of like that misogynist conversation that we have of like, how can we escape this and break through? And like the title of the film itself, Send Help, you know, who's going to help women within those confines? And maybe you have to help yourself. Also, can I just say, everyone who makes fun of me for watching 50 seasons of Survivor, this film is the reason why you do it, because then you get on a desert island and you're okay.
I wouldn't be able to make it, so I'm glad that you would be able to. Okay, Rad, let me ask you this. It is January. It is the end of January. It's a particularly dreary vibe around there, but also January movies don't have a reputation for being, I don't know, particularly rich time for dropping the best possible movies. Is this movie a good January movie, or is it just like a legitimately good movie that happens to be coming out in January?
No, I mean, I think it's the legitimately good movie that will work any season, be outside of Dumpuary, which is, I guess, what we could call that.
Not me.
Yeah. But also, like, I mean, it's you know, like, I think it's also just a miracle of a movie to exist in this day and age, because when you think about, like, you know, this is a well-budgeted original story coming out through the Disney machine, and you consider that across this landscape where we've been, like, you know, everything is franchise movies, you know, original comedies, original dramas. There's not, at this budget level, there's just not the room for them in this landscape, which is maybe why Sam Raimi only directed one movie in the last decade, which is the Doctor Strange movie. Maybe why Rachel McAdams has only been, since not being nominated for an Oscar since from Spotlight from more than a decade ago, she's only starred in 6 movies since then. And so it's almost like, feels like these are two incredible talents who have taken a step back from this industry, and here we get them united and doing something completely unhinged. You know, like like, you know, letting Rachel McAdams go full Kathy Bates in Misery is.
Ashley Ray, Rad has used 2 words, unhinged and miracle, to describe this movie. Just like real quick, your reaction to the movie as you sort of like leave the theater, go like, okay, yes, I'm going to carry this movie with me, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
I absolutely loved it. I was like, I want to see this again with my friends. It's hilarious. I think Dylan O'Brien also, just want to give him some credit, because he does some great work as an awful man, and he's been doing some really just weird shows, and, you know, working a lot with just comedians, and I think a lot of that came through in his performance. So I thought it was a great time.
The idea of giving Dylan O'Brien his flowers, not where I thought my day was going to go this morning, but I'm also absolutely here for it.
Dylan.
I know. Congratulations, Dylan O'Brien. Ashley here says you really pulled it out of the fire here. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Radheyan Simonpillai is here, and Emilie Hanskamp is here, and Ashley Ray's here. We've talked about Send Help, which is in theaters right now, but we're going to shift gears because we gotta talk about Kanye West. Kanye, of course, one of the most celebrated rappers and producers of the 21st century. However, in recent years, that story has shifted, right? After a lot of anti-Semitic comments, offensive statements about black people, about women, he has fallen out of public favor, I think is like the light way of saying that. This week, Kanye took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal to apologize for this recent anti-Semitic behavior. He also apologized to the black community in that ad. Quote, said, "I'm so sorry to have let you down." Then he said he lost touch with reality due to bipolar disorder that he kind of connects to the near-fatal car crash that he survived back in 2002. Actually, I'm going to start with you on this one because you're from Chicago. That is Kanye West's hometown. He's been a big part of your life, but also he's been a bit of a disappointment for a bunch of years. How do you take this apology?
Chicagoans, we love him. We love him so much since Through the Wire. He's our boy. And so I think we have given him a lot more grace than other people throughout the years. But for the last 8 to 10 years, it's been impossible to do that. What he has been saying and doing, even beyond the anti-Semitism, saying, you know, black people liked slavery. It goes far enough back that it's been a while of us being like, okay, Kanye, whatever you say, you know, this turn is probably he's dropping a new album. He wants to make sure that it sells. He realizes it's hurting his, you know, wallet. That's where it feels like it's coming from for me. Yeah, I want to believe that old Ye is back and it's Life of Pablo Ye, but I just think what we're seeing here is the Ye that we saw in the Netflix documentary where he was, you know, actively dealing with his addiction and his mental health issues. And there were sort of people around him who would make him look good with PR to say like, oh, no, he's good. And I think we're just seeing another situation with that because the Wall Street Journal, I think there are plenty of Jewish organizations that were willing to sit down with Kanye, to teach him things, to talk to him. He could have reached out to them to make an apology, but to take out an ad in the Wall Street Journal, like, first of all, you think all Jewish people subscribe to that, but mostly it's like that is for businesses. That is to let brands and people know I am someone who can be in an advertisement again.
First of all, I just want to just like highlight the idea that like people maybe someone listening to this doesn't appreciate how difficult it is for a Chicagoan to give up on Kanye West, right? Like they go like, yeah, but he did make Homecoming, you know? And there's like a deeply sort of emotional connection. And so many people from Chicago are like, just give me something I can hold on to, Kanye. Give me something I can hold on to, and I can sort of maybe open that door. And so, for you to be saying that, that's not a small thing. Emilie, like this apology in the Wall Street Journal, I think we have to talk about the timing of it a little bit because it came a few days after this video surfaced of a bunch of right-wing influencers like Nick Fuentes and the Tate Brothers. They were partying to this song that Kanye put out in 2025. The song is literally just called Heil Hitler, and they were like in a Miami nightclub. There's supposed to be also this new album that he drops sometime soon. How does this context factor into the way that you receive that apology?
I mean, like Ashley mentioned, we've seen this before. With Vultures 1, there was an apology around that rollout as well. So the patterns can't be ignored at this point, and the patterns are very concerning and violent and aggressive. And I think that how I'm trying to kind of grapple with this is like in terms of damages. Like, yes, Ye has experienced damages of his own doing, though there is compassion there, of course, for the mental health piece of this conversation. Damages to his career, to his finances, that is all true. But the damages, when you think of like how you mobilize and embolden someone like Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens and the waves of that now we are living in the world that you have helped create, a world where these extremist ideologies that, you know, I'm not a neuroscientist or a neuropathologist. I can't speak to how those were informed. But, you know, in that Vanity Fair, there was an exchange they had over email, and they did ask him, you know, where did these ideologies come from? I think they were asking specifically about the anti-Semitic ideas that he was espousing, sentiments, and he wouldn't answer that. So I think that the ideologies and what he's done and what he's put out into the world, those damages are something that cannot possibly be, you know, discounted and recovered in the timing that I think he's expecting with this rollout. And that is the thing that I can't quite get past is maybe in years and years and years there can be some sort of recovery, but I think we have this idea that apology and compassion has to mean a total cultural reintegration. Like we can have compassion for Ye right now, and that doesn't mean he has to be accepted back into the industry, into our earphones, into whatever. That is, I am okay existing potentially in a world where there are repercussions, professional repercussions that are long lasting for the things that he has done and for the people and communities he has hurt. And that's a question we'll have to answer, but I'm at this point like okay to potentially accept that.
That's a part of what accountability is. Or you'd be like, hey, sure, you're dealing with some stuff. That doesn't mean I have to sort of just get past the actions that you've sort of done. So like just to walk people through it, because you mentioned the Vultures 1 apology. So back in 2023, he apologized to the Jewish community. Then in 2025, in what he now describes as, in that ad, as a part of a manic episode, he declared himself a Nazi. He pledged love for Hitler. He started selling T-shirts with swastikas on them. And that's when he put out that track, Heil Hitler. And so like there's something to be said about the fact that like the damage that he has done over the period of time, it doesn't just mean that it could be erased simply because you took out an ad. Now, I will say the end of that ad does say like, I understand that just merely issuing this apology doesn't mean that people are just going to start listening to me again or sort of having a connection with me again. There is something to be said about at least that acknowledgement, but I don't know what it'll end up meaning. Rather, let me go to you because this speculation over his mental health has kind of been with us for a lot of his career so far, and it's forced a lot of people in the media to go, how do we cover Kanye and is it working? How much responsibility do you think the media has in terms of just like the attention we give to Kanye, including, by the way, like having this very conversation and reporting out, you know, everything that has to do with this recent apology?
Well, look, I mean, I've always felt uncomfortable about us in the media and the culture paying attention to his antics. In terms of this apology, I do think it's important, and I think it's important to discuss it, whether you take it as genuine or not. And I by no means do I think Kanye is owed forgiveness, and I don't think it's valuable necessarily for his sake, but I think for everyone else's, because he's explaining what happened, what goes on, like these experiences with bipolarism, with these manic episodes, right? And he's explaining what that has been like, and like being misdiagnosed and all that stuff. And I think for a lot of people, it's helpful to know that someone else is going through this. Hear that described, to hear that experience, and hear like kind of the walls you come up against the health systems and the infrastructure and stuff. And even for us, to understand that there's people in our lives that are going through this, and we can, find it in ourselves to find some grace for some of the things that, they might be doing. So I think there is a lot of value, again, even if it is a Wall Street Journal ad and there's all of these other connotations to it, but just, going through that and trying to understand how that's affecting other people we're surrounded by.
There's something to be said, Emilie, about like the idea that quite often someone like Kanye West is like one hit away from a return, right? Like, or at least that's the promise that he sort of seems to be seeing in general. Is that actually true? Like, is there precedence for people who have been, we go, that person's done. They've committed something so awful, and then they come back with a hit and kind of go, I don't know, it seems like we've kind of actually forgotten. Like, is that what could be sort of hanging in the balance here?
I mean, last year, the most streamed hip hop album of 2025 was Graduation by Kanye West. So I'm going to answer that question and say yes. And I could say, unfortunately or fortunately, that's in the eye of the beholder at that point. Do I believe that potentially first of all, his fandom hasn't completely abandoned him. Like, no. He's, that
they've never gone away.
We also have to be, clear about that. But yeah, I do think it's possible that we have this cultural collective selective forgetfulness about if the song is good enough, then maybe I can brush that out of the rug. I do think that is the case. I think,
and whether it's actually the case or not, I also think Kanye thinks that's the case, right? Like, I think like that certainly seems to be something that is sort of in his imagination. Let me ask you this, Ashley. I think like there's something to be said about. Here's how this apology is landing with me. I'm someone who has loved Kanye for a long time. For the last few years, I'm like, I just can't be here while you go through this. I'm sorry that you're going through it, And so I read this apology and say, my personal opinion, I go, I believe that you're sorry. And also, this is no longer my problem. Like, that's kind of like how I'm receiving this apology. If we're going to take a good faith approach to this apology and say, okay, this is a positive first step, what do you want from Kanye at this point? Do you still want anything from Kanye at this point?
I mean, I think I'm where you are, where to me, it's kind of like, it's not my problem. Kanye, for me, it goes beyond the anti-Semitism and the racism where, he was stalking his ex-wife, where, he was saying things to his children that I'm like, this is not okay. So for me, I'm like, there's nothing you can really do. And I think maybe he did learn from another Chicago boy, R. Kelly. You put out something good, people will forgive you. And if he gets his remix to Ignition, he'll be okay. But I would need to see him do something in the actual communities he's hurt. He started a cult school. We didn't even talk about that. He's done harm in the city of Chicago to poor Black people. So I need him in the streets if he wants to like really get out there and I would need to see something at that level. But I mean, he didn't just sell swastika shirts. He bought a Super Bowl ad. He spent millions on a Super Bowl ad to sell them. And he spent a couple thousand on a Wall Street Journal apology. So, maybe let's get that more in balance.
Right. Like, I think that's a good and healthy perspective to say you seem to be at the very beginning of the road of making some kind of reparations. It's not for me to determine whether they're enough or not. I no longer want to be there. I no longer want to be there and go like, okay, now the next step I want to see is this. Now the next step I want to see is this. But obviously, people, I think, are going to continue to follow the story. I will continue to follow the story. So we're going to return to it if there's more developments. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud, and this is Commotion. Emilie Hanskamp is here, and Radheyan Simonpillai is here, and Ashley Ray's here. And now we got to talk about the Juno Awards, you guys, because they are coming up at the end of March, and the nominations were announced this week. And to no one's surprise, this artist was among the frontrunners. That is a bit of sports car. Tate McRae, who's tied with Justin Bieber for the most Juno nominations. 6 nominations. It's also Radheyan Simonpillai's first time hearing that song, I think.
Probably. Yeah. I was like, is that Yin Yang Twins? What's happening?
My God. Okay, Emilie, let me ask you this. Obviously, those two artists, Tate McRae,
Yeah.
Justin Bieber, had gigantic years, you know, both of them. When you look at this list of nominees, are you surprised by any categories?
I'll tell you the most surprising thing that stuck out to me when I was scrolling through was under Group of the Year, Arcade Fire is nominated.
Yes, sure.
In our year of 2026, Arcade Fire is nominated as the best Canadian band or group of the year, and that was surprising. Now, I'm a Montrealer. I've been an Arcade Fire fan over the many years. We don't have to get into the kind of complex nuances of what happened with Wynn and Butler and everything, but to see their name highlighted there, all you want to see from these kind of institutional awards is a reflection of the Canadian music scene as much as possible. And I don't know if I can think of someone I've had a conversation with who's been like, oh, Arcade Fire right now, they're really getting me going. That
album was not exactly
that was the worst album.
Okay, I wasn't going to go that far. But
it was the worst album they made. And again, I've loved a lot of Arcade Fire. Anyway, so that was surprising to me. There's some things I'm very excited about. I don't want to be just negative Nancy. I'm so happy to see Saya Gray on there.
Yes.
Weather Station, Ace Sanabi's on there. I'm excited to see Debbie Friday nominated for electronic album. That's really exciting to me. There are, as always with like any kind of announcement of awards, there's the predictable Tate McRae's and Justin Bieber's. There are the surprise snubs. And there are a few artists, Sister Ray as well, that I'm really excited to see on there. And then I hope they get the nods that they've long deserved.
That Sister Ray record really should be album of the year. I'm not gonna lie. Like that should be an album that we should all be kind of celebrating.
Rallying behind, yeah.
Yeah, Rad. What I like about your reaction is you're like, I'm just not. This is just not a world I live in.
Who are these people? I don't know.
I'll send you a playlist.
But what's great about it is like you will name any movie that came out this year. I think you can name any Canadian movie that came out this year. You go like, yeah, of course I've seen it. Why have you not seen it? But then the Junos come around and you're like, that's just not the world I exist in.
Now I know how other people feel when I talk to them about movies.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it. Ashley Ray, as a lone American on this panel, let me ask you, what's your take on the Juno nominations you saw?
I, as an American and stand-up comic, we love the Juno Awards. The Juno Awards is the one place that actually honors current stand-up comics. So Robbie Hoffman, who is amazing, she's nominated. In America, you look at the Grammys, it's just going to be Dave Chappelle. They would nominate Dave Chappelle 5 times if they could. It's just old people who you're like, did they even put something out? Or did people just go, yeah, sure, why not, Louis C.K.?
Yeah.
So, to see actual funny young comics, I always love that about the Juno Awards.
Emilie Hanskamp, there is something to be said with the Junos happening in March, and then in April we get Justin Bieber at Coachella. I feel like we're kind of building up to a moment of a Bieber year, if you will.
I'm happy for him.
Well, yeah, but are you on board with Swag 2 being nominated for Album of the Year? Not Swag 1, mind you.
I've talked about Swag at this here table before. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm genuinely happy to see the trajectory that Justin is on. I hope he keeps going. It's getting really well received. I think he deserved it. He deserves it as a hard worker, and I hope to keep seeing that from him. Honestly, I'm happy. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his fans.
Yeah.
Truth.
That when I see Justin Bieber back in the headlines, Rad, that's something that like I have been looking forward to myself. Do you have any feelings at all about the return of Justin Bieber to the spotlight?
I mean, I saw that video of him helping someone with a broke down car, so I'm like, good for him. So yeah, it's nice things for him. That's great. Yeah.
Before we go, I just want to get a quick recommendation from each one of you. Radheyan Simonpillai, why don't you kick us off, pal? What do you got?
Well, look, because it's Grammys weekend and you got me here with Emilie and stuff, and you accuse me of not knowing any music.
I didn't accuse you. You admitted.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to recommend some weekend listening, and I'm going to say Leve, which is, to doubling down on your recent jazz pop episode, which put me onto Olivia Dean, so I started listening to her too. But look, Leve, this is not where I live. I'm typically somewhere between Kendrick and Clips. Yeah. But Leve, I was put onto her by my daughter. She was playing it on a loop for the last year. This album, A Matter of Time, and I'm infatuated now. I love that she's bringing back the Ella Fitzgerald and music, and so it is now my favorite album of the year, and I hope it wins that one category it's nominated for, the traditional pop vocal album.
I'm delighted by this. Okay, Emilie Hanskamp, what do you got?
I'm going to serve up some music recommendation. It's going to be a Canadian music recommendation. I fell upon Dana Sipos' new album, Golden Molten, this year. This week. It's been a long year this week. And yeah, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the state of the universe and by the simultaneously, you know, cruelty and resilience of humanity, this album it's this like gentle folkscape. She's a gorgeous singer-songwriter.
Love that.
And it's really comforting and will sit really nicely in your heart and soul, I think.
Oh, sit nicely in my heart and soul. That's all I want. Ashley Ray, 30 seconds to you, pal. What do you got?
My recommendation, TV, give you something to watch. I want to say the new season of Fallout on Amazon Prime Video. It's
Let's
so
go.
good. I love the first season. People aren't talking about the second season as much, but it's just as good. A lot of hilarious performances from some Johnny Pemberton, some great people. So go check it out.
I'm ready. Okay, thank you guys so much. This has been wonderful. Thank you for being here today. Thanks again, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, of course. Emilie Hanskamp is a freelance music journalist. Radheyan Simonpillai is a freelance film critic whose work shows up on CTV, CBC, and in the Globe and Mail. They're both right here in our Toronto studio. Ashley Ray is a comedian and podcaster based in Los Angeles. That is it for the show today. This week, Commotion was produced by Simi Bassi, Stuart Berman, Ty Callender, Gene Kim, Nikki Manfredi, and Jess Lowe. Our digital producers are Emilie Ekbal, Ray Mona, and Julie Whalen. Our engineer is Sam Hashmi. Our director is Gene Kim. Danielle Grogan is our senior producer, and our executive producer is Beza Seifa. I'm Elamin Abdelmahmoud. We'll see you again on Monday, and on Monday, we are going to have a panel in this very studio about the Grammy Awards, which are kind of like the WrestleMania of music for me. You know, it's going to be a really big moment. I'm really excited about this particular Grammys, mostly because I want to see Olivia Dean win Best New Artist. I think that's what's going to happen, Emily. Don't you?
100%.
Okay, I'm ready for it. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.